Yogi Ramsuratkumar, Yogi Ramsuratkumar, Yogi Ramsuratkumar, Jaya Guru Raya. Bhagavan Shri Yogi Ramsuratkumar ki Jai. Sarvam Yogi Ramsuratkumar Arpanamastu. Before we offer our prayers at the lotus feet of Bhagwan, let us go through one or two incidents which illustrate gloriously the power of Bhagwan Yogi Ramsuratkumar. Once, Sri Ganesan Anna of Ramanashram was visiting Bhagwan. Sri Ganesan Anna often used to go to Bhagwan, a Channadi street house. For some time he was feeling very tired and dull, and there was even this giddiness. So when he came and sat, Bhagwan asked him what was wrong with him. Ganesan Anna replied, he was suffering from low BP. Immediately Bhagwan suggested, take a cup of buttermilk, Ganesha. Every day, without fail, you must take a cup of buttermilk, and that will solve your problem. So Sri Ganesan Anna began to take and felt free from the suffering. A VIP friend of his, who was a frequent visitor to Ramanashram and to Swami also, came to know about this treatment of Bhagwan, this particular disease. So when he visited Ganesan Anna, he said, I have a high BP problem. Please take me to Swami and let us put it before him. He will definitely give me some solution also. So both of them visited and they were seated in front of Bhagwan. Bhagwan welcomed them nicely. And when they were seated, this VIP, he was very popular in the cinema industries. He was gesturing to Ganesan Anna to ask. He could not bring himself to ask, so he asked Ganesan Anna to put it before Bhagwan. So Ganesan Anna started, Swami, this friend of mine here is suffering from high BP. Please do something. Swami said, pat came the reply from Bhagwan. Ganesha, ask him to take a cup of buttermilk. Ganesan Anna himself doubted if he heard it right, because for his low BP, Swami suggested a cup of buttermilk. Now this man is suffering from high BP and he was suggesting the same treatment. And the other man decided Swami did not hear it properly, so he gestured to Ganesan Anna again to put it before him. Sri Ganesan Anna raised his voice a little and said, Swami, he is suffering from high BP, Swami. Oh, Ganesha, ask him to take a cup of buttermilk. He will be all right. Again, the visitor felt that Swami did not hear it properly and Ganesan Anna did not raise his voice enough. So he looked at him and gestured to say it again much more loudly. Ganesan Anna knew by then that Swami was playing a Leela and he was feeling a little odd about asking again, but then he decided for the sake of his friend, Swami, my friend here is suffering from high BP. Oh, Ganesha, Ask him to take a cup of buttermilk. He will be all right. Swami also raised his voice and suggested the same thing again. And then both of them knew instantly that Bhagwan was saying it deliberately. And that was the medicine for both. And then Swami smiled and added, Ganesha, it is not in the cup of buttermilk, Ganesha. They prostrated before him. They understood. And they felt bad that they tried it out like this. Instead of accepting whatever he said the first time, they pushed ahead because they doubted. So you see, a Mahatma, a Shaktiman, who is all powerful. There is nothing that he cannot do. There is no place where he is not. There is nothing he does not know. So, this Shaktiman, all pervasive, all knowing, all powerful Shaktiman, the Shakti is with him, not with the things. It is they, it is God, it is God's power that enters these things and makes these things work. So knowing that it is Bhagwan who is the real medicine for all ills of our body and mind, we shall appeal to his boundless compassion. Bhagwan, beloved Bhagwan, Sarvam Yogi Ramsuratkumar Arpanamastu. Before we offer our today's prayers, we shall see a very relevant story which once again depicts the glory of Bhagwan's Nama. It's very relevant in the context of today when the world is in the terrible clutches of this virus. It has created a crisis, unprecedented crisis in economics also, the economy of the world, the economy of our country. There is a couple by name Shri Krishnan, his wife Lakshmi, been devotees for a long time, been coming to Bhagwan for many, many years, though they belong to Sringeri Mat people. They are very devoted to Bhagwan and his name. They have a daughter by name Shri Janaki, who was such a devotee to Bhagwan right from her younger days. And whenever she used to write letters, Bhagwan would be very appreciative, and he would ask me to read it out again and again. Such was his love for her. And she got married to one Shri Harish, and after marriage, they had come to visit Bhagwan to take his blessings. At the time, Bhagwan was living in Parnashala of the ashram. He was suffering from cancer. He welcomed them. He gave them lunch. They had the great fortune of having lunch prasad with Bhagwan. At the time, Bhagwan played a certain Leela because Harish was new to all this. Though he had heard about it, when he had come, Bhagwan asked people to serve him. But the thing is, every time he would take a morsel of food in his hand, would be about to put it into his mouth or would have just put it into his mouth, and before he started to eat it, Bhagwan would ask him a question for which he had to answer, and he wouldn't know how to answer with so much food in the mouth. He would struggle, and then next time again he would take another morsel of food in his hand, and just before he put it into his mouth or after putting it into his mouth, Bhagwan would ask and he had to answer, and again there would be struggle. We do not know why Bhagwan conducted this Leela, but this went on for half an hour. Every time it would coincide. Bhagwan's questioning him, and his taking the food, about to eat. He rather enjoyed this Leela, though he did not understand what happened, what was happening. He said that it created a great influence upon him. Somehow he could not forget Bhagwan afterwards. It made a deep impression upon him. He was working in America at the time, and I think Bhagavan was also giving him a hint that this American people might send away the Indians if a situation came. He would often say they are very intelligent. He did not understand the meaning again, but then soon there came a situation in his office, because at that time there was this economic recession all over the world, and America too had suffered, and especially the big companies. His company was one of them. There was a huge loss in the company, and therefore retrenchment followed. Many people, many Indians were retrenched, terminated from their services, and they had to come back. But he continued, and then one day there was a meeting again, and the way the meeting was going, he knew that he was going to be retrenched too. He was going to be terminated from the service. So, in panic, he rang up to his wife, who was living in India at the time, that this was the situation, he was about to lose his job. Immediately his wife, her parents, Sri Krishnan and his wife Lakshmi, they started to chant the name of Bhagwan with great fervor, praying and praying, chanting and praying and chanting and praying. And somehow, by the force of the name, by the grace of Bhagwan, they did not ask him to go. This continued, the situation continued. He also got back his salary. He got his salary. He continued to work until he got a new job when the company itself had to be closed. There were only 2 Indians till the end, and he was one of them. He knew it's because of the Nama chanting. He was himself chanting. His whole family was chanting. And he knew that he continued even in that worst situation in the same company, all due to Bhagwan's grace. Now, why I am mentioning this? People are very much in a similar state today. Many people are losing their jobs, and even if people continue to be in their job, they get only 50% of the salary. And there is this crisis, unprecedented crisis of economy. Now we all know what to do. People have already been doing. Just take up this prayer that you should continue to be in the job and you should continue to get the salary. For which sake we have to do only this Nama chanting. So let us all pray to His grace, this boundless compassion that would back us in any situation, in any crisis. Just take up this prayer that I should continue to be in job and I should continue to be supported financially, and you will see the magic of His name. Sarvam Yogi Ramsuratkumar Arpanamastu. Today we shall go through a certain incident which I think is relevant to the present day situation. We have already seen how the grace works mysteriously. Sometimes the grace comes in a recognizable form. We ask for something and it's immediately given. And then we rejoice over it, saying, oh, this is grace, this is grace. How kind God is. How gracious. And sometimes, no matter how much we ask, immediately a big no comes from God, But after that, he gives us something better than what we ask for. And the third variety, he would not say yes, neither yes nor no. And it's a waiting period for us. This is our testing time. Many people would lose their hope and faith, become frustrated. But this is the time we have to keep up our faith and our effort to continue praying and chanting, knowing that even this waiting period is a great blessing. Though we do not know what is involved in this, it's definitely a certain blessing from God. God wouldn't do it otherwise. Everything happens in this world only by the will of God. Bhagwan often said, whatever happens, happens only by the will of God. And God is perfect, so whatever happens is perfect. And whatever happens is necessary for us. This is what Yogiji used to say. And what is more, since it comes from God, whatever comes from God can only be a blessing. It's a definite blessing, though we do not understand how it is a blessing at the moment of happening. So this incident, from Rajapalayam, there is a place called Morambu near Rajapalayam, and there one electrical engineer by name Sargunam, Sri Sargunam, an ardent devotee of Bhagavan, Yogi Ramsuratkumar, he has been coming to Bhagavan for a number of years now. In 1992, he was working in Sri Katpagambal Mills in Morambu. He joined as an electrical supervisor, but very soon he got promoted to the post of electrical engineer, was drawing 6,500 rupees at that moment. It was okay until something happened. A colleague of his, one Pedda Raju, got an employment in Kenya for a very high salary, and he was going. He left for Kenya. Seeing this, he also began to think, okay, my friend is going there for a higher salary. There must be great opportunities out there. So why shouldn't I attempt it? I want to earn more money. So he attended an interview in Bombay for a Kenyan company. He did rather well, and then Kenya company people said, okay, if you agree to this job, we will give you the employment order. And we'll give you 25,000 rupees per month as salary and deposit 1 lakh rupees at the end of every year into your bank account. So with this assurance from them, naturally, he was very much drawn to this. And he was thinking that he would give up this job, he would resign this job and go away. So when he approached a higher official, that is the owner of this Katpagambal Mills, he said, look, I cannot give you that kind of salary. 25,000 per month, I cannot afford to give you. But I have heard that this country, Kenya, is one type of country. You better think over again. After this, he got really confused. He so much wanted to go for a higher salary, for higher prospects. He was very excited about it. And then again, there is also an opposite opinion from people. And he was a little hesitant. And finally he decided he would come to Bhagwan in Sanadi Street house and take his permission and blessings. He was also very doubtful if Bhagwan would say yes to this prospect. So he decided to put it in a very smart way. He planned to say, Swami, I attended the interview and I got the job in the country Kenya. Please give me your blessings. So this is how he had planned it. And he went to Sanadi Street House. It was January 1st, 1993, and that was the day Bhagwan gave permission to the first trustee of the ashram for an ashram. The second day, 2/1/93, Sri Sargunam, he went to Sanadi Street House. Mr. Janardhanam was there. He was the first trustee of the ashram. And Swami did not turn to the side of Sri Sargunam. He was talking to Janardhanan all the time about the ashram, like what to build there. And then he was suggesting a meeting hall, Mr. Janardhanan. And then immediately Sargunam said, no, we must have a meditation hall. So the talk was going on like this. And Bhagwan was saying that we would build one hall. It will be a multi-purpose hall. It could be used for meditation. It could be used for anything, for meetings also. So this took quite some time. And Sargunam ji was getting a little restless. And suddenly Bhagwan turned to him. He would not give him a chance to phrase as he had planned his asking. Instead, Bhagwan said, what are you doing now? Where are you working? He said, I am working as an electrical engineer in Morambu, Sri Karpagambar Mills. And immediately Bhagwan said, wait. And then he took a fruit, an apple, and dropped it into his hands and said, you can go. Sri Sargunam ji did not have time to say anything at all. So when he came out, he was in a total state of confusion. He was absolutely confused. He did not know what to do, what to decide. What is it? Swami said, wait. Does it mean that I have to wait for some time before joining this job? What does it mean? Anyway, he did not have the courage to cross his word. And therefore he told himself he would wait for some time and see how things shape up. 6 months passed this way, but all the time he could not give up this idea of going to Kenya for a higher salary. He was very much tempted. But Bhagwan's word, wait, held him up. And finally, after 6 months, this Peddaraju, there was one Peddaraju, a colleague of his, he had applied to this Kenya company and he got the job and he left immediately, and that was what triggered him into this desire. After 6 months, Sri Peddaraju returned only to say, oh God, you escaped from that. Your Bhagwan saved you from this. This country is very bad. The mosquitoes are as big as flies and they are biting all the time. And what is more, it's very, very hot, unbearably hot. And there is absolutely no security there. He said his friend was wearing a ring, a gold ring, and just to take that ring, a thief cut his finger. He took the ring with the finger. Can you imagine? How bad? And then immediately they rushed to the police station to report. And all that policemen said was, why? What does it matter if you lose your finger? You are still alive. That will do. There is no need to come to the police for this. Just see the callousness of people. It's good that you did not go there, you did not come there. And that is when Sri Sargunam realized how Bhagavan had saved him with just one word, wait. That this wait was a great blessing to him. And what was more, very soon, in a few months, he got another promotion in the same company, Karpagambar Mills. He became the senior superintendent of the place, of the mills. No electrical engineer had ever been given that particular post. So he was very happy with that. So it was an added blessing to him. Now, why it is so relevant to us at this moment? You see, sometimes God says, wait. He may not say it through a word, but then this waiting happens, as it is happening to all of us now. We have been chanting the name, we have been praying, and appealing to His generosity time and again, both in the morning, evening, and then we continue other times also, and still nothing seems to be happening. And what is more, it seems to get only worse. More spread of the disease. But we do not know the ways of grace. They are mysterious. So, knowing that whatever happens is only a blessing, a definite blessing, it's happening because it's necessary for us in some way, and this wait finally will give us the very best blessing. We shall appeal to Him, Bhagwan. Sarvam Yogi Ramsuratkumar Arpanamastu. I would like to share an experience of an American devotee, Kate Parker, which depicts the glory of Bhagavan's Murthy. So far we had been going through some incidents which illustrated Bhagavan's glory, His Nama's glory. Now here is one incident, slightly different from others. Mr. Lee Lozowick, a very ardent devotee of Bhagwan, he lived in America. He has a huge ashram there at Arizona. In 2008, he had a rock band, and they used to go visit places and perform their music programs. They had planned for a European tour for the first time. Mr. Lee and many people had already gone to Europe. A small group of them was left behind. They were going to join them later. So as they were planning for their trip to Europe from America, one day, one Srimati Tina, Mrs. Tina, had a dream. And in the dream, she found her group of people who were going to travel to Europe suddenly being attacked by dark forces from all sides. But to her delight and wonder, these people were surrounded by a golden light. They found themselves in a tunnel full of golden light. And these dark forces were still attacking them from all sides, but were unable to touch these people because they were within the security, the safety, the grace of Bhagwan. So as soon as she reported this dream to other people there, they thought it was a very good omen for starting their European tour. And then they were all getting prepared on that particular day when they had to go. And suddenly they got instructions from Mr. Lee across the continent. To take Bhagavan's Murthy with them in the plane. It was a bit of a job because it was all of a sudden, but then immediately they packed up Bhagavan's Murthy very nicely in a box with a handle, and Kate Parker was carrying it. As soon as they boarded the plane, They were all settling down with the luggage. But Kate Parker was feeling a little uneasy. She did not know why. She was being restless. And usually she would settle down very quickly. But that particular day she felt very uneasy. And suddenly, the plane was pulled out from its place, and the pilot started to move the plane towards the runway. At that moment, they found the whole plane filled with smoke and the acrid smell, the pungent smell of the smoke. And then naturally their eyes were irritated and they started to water, and some people started to cough. And they knew there was fire somewhere. Suddenly this lady behind Kate Parker screamed. She said, "There's fire, fire, please save me, please help me, help me." She shouted across the plane, and then people were alarmed and they found the fire at the back of the plane, and immediately the pilot stopped the plane, and then the doors were all open. The back exit door was damaged by the fire already, so these people had to push towards the front door. But somehow they all came out before any serious damage was done to them, though the plane was on fire. They slid down to the tarmac, and then the fire trucks came fast and they somehow contained the fire. All those passengers were saved because the fire caught the plane when it was still on the ground station. Though it was moving towards the runway, it was still on the ground station, so they could save all these passengers before any serious damage was done. And Kate and her group knew, thanks to Tina's dream, it was Bhagwan, his golden light. It overcame the fire and saved all those people, stopped the plane in time before it climbed up. They all melted at the mercy of Bhagwan, and they understood why Mr. Lee wanted them to carry the Vigraha of Bhagwan. Vigraha has life in it. You know, in the Pradhan Mandir, the main Murthy of Bhagwan, Bhagwan himself installed. On the day of Prana Pratishta, Bhagwan was still in the wheelchair. He came up to the statue and then he asked for a little flower, and somebody gave some flower, a string of flower, which he himself, he's bent over with trembling hands, and then he just put it across the feet and went round the statue 3 times. He did prana pratishta, which means giving prana to the statue so that the statue would begin to live. There would be life force in that, so that grace would be flowing out of it all the time. When you see this statue, you will know the eyes are focused on Brahmarandra, but the hand, one hand, is raised as Abhaya Hasta, meaning raised in benediction, saying, "Do not fear, I am here to help you, to protect you, to guide you." So, Bhagwan's Vigraha, wherever they are, we can worship them. Bhagwan himself said several times that wherever his photo is, if you just light 2 incense sticks and wave them before his picture and pray, the prayer would be granted, answered. He spoke about his nama, he spoke about his photo, but he did not say about his Vigraha, but he showed it in this action, how his Vigraha is a living force. We shall appeal. Now we shall submit our prayers to Bhagwan's Murthy here, which is full of life, power and grace. Bhagwan,